Everybody, thanks for watching. So yeah, real quick, anybody who's still interested in the Shopify Amazon course, make sure you guys go ahead and grab them for Monday. The sale will end on Monday. So don't hit me up about the price being lowered again. I dropped the price for a long time now. Make sure you guys take advantage. It's more than worth the price. You guys know how I break down information. I break down this course very easy for anybody to understand. If you want to get 3 new incomes, if you're looking for something extra monthly, daily, or what have you, this is the way to go. Real easy course to follow, step by step. Also going to be adding on multiple videos all the way throughout the course and all the way throughout, whenever, to help better your site and better your way to generate money in doing this whole process. So as I put up the last video, I dropped 2 videos. You guys will get any new videos free that pertains to this course or anything that you're going to be doing that we talk about in the course. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff coming up. A lot of this stuff will change once everything switches over to digital. You're going to want to be a part of this. It's going to be completely different after this happens. So you guys know what crypto is doing. You guys know these stable coins are going to be huge. They're going to be a part of everything. I break down how they're going to be implemented with Shopify and change the way you do business on Shopify sites and Amazon as well. Also, Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys go ahead and reserve for the Egypt trip. Take care of it, get it out the way. It's only $150 to reserve as I break down. And there's a pay schedule. So this thing is broken down in different ways to pay. And also the gaps in payments are super far apart. The first payment, besides the $150 to get reserved, is not until November. So this thing has been up for a month now. So it's far apart. All the payments are far apart. There are payments that you can handle to make this easier for you guys. You see what the price is. This is only because of the society. And as I break down in the video, as you can see, why we got such a dope price. So make sure you guys take advantage, get it out the way fast before everything fills up and before the deadline hits. You guys want to make sure you take care of this, all right? The schedule is laid out. Everything is broken down for you guys to easily follow and understand what's going to be happening, what's going to take place. So yeah, stay tuned to that. And we'll talk about it more in the society. As you guys know, we're going to get a lot more into it as time moves forward. So yeah, a lot of people had already reserved. People are still asking about it. Make sure you're in the society. It's only $18 to join. If you go ahead and reserve, this will automatically put you in the society. It's just $18 a month after that. Link is in the description. Make sure you guys take advantage. I'm telling you, this is something you don't want to miss. If you know me and what I do and everything that I'm about as far as Kemet and getting this information out, this is going to be big. So yeah, everybody's asking about it. The information is out there. The video is out there. Anybody can see the video. The link is in the description. I'm telling you now, you want to make sure you take advantage of it. But yeah, so we talked about in the live. You guys know tomorrow night is the fight, or tonight, depending on when this video releases. Yeah, of course, I'll be there. So I'll be at the Canelo-Terrence Crawford fight. I'll be there. I've been making my rounds. You guys know I told you I have a daughter that boxes, but it's a lot going on. I'm heavily into boxing. If you know me personally, you know what I've been doing on my personal page. You guys see everything I've been doing and who I've been around. So it's big time. So I want to make sure you guys understand, man, it's a lot that's going to come with the society. It's a lot that come with what we're doing. I'm trying to get you guys involved in something that's bigger than you've ever seen before as far as a group like this. The first question I get from people are saying, hey, what can I expect with the society? I broke that down. And as I said before, if you are not familiar with my work, my research, and everything I've been doing over the last decade and some change, do not join. I don't want no newbies in here. If you're just getting into this information or what have you, I highly recommend you watch some of my videos. Understand what I talk about and what I get into and what I speak to, right? Where my heart is at. This is information that you need for many reasons. If you are new, do your research, understand. If you're trying to get out of religion, which some people are, you're trying to understand what this thing is about, I have plenty of videos on all this. And I highly recommend before you join or do anything, or even go further on my channel, watch some of your videos. There's a lot up there. Understand what we get into and why people are attracted to this place. I do not solicit. I do not go after people. I want people to find me because you're on this journey of getting into this information. So that's probably why you're here. So these are the people who I want in the society and the people that I'm looking for. So yeah, man, make sure you guys get at me. I know it's been busy. I've been super busy. There's a lot going on, but there's a lot I'm doing behind the scenes, a lot that I'm going to be bringing to the society and getting ready for this trip and getting ready for everything else. So I appreciate everybody's patience. There'll be new stuff on the app for the society members. The meeting video is already up. A lot going on, but stay tuned, man. We got a lot. It's going to get real dope. Let's get into this video. So this is getting into the Bible stealing from Egypt. highly debated topic that so many people are obsessed with lately because there's a lot of new stuff coming out. But this is something I touched on a while back, man. You guys got to understand. The Bible, when I talk about the Septuagint, Greek and everything, this was written in Egypt. Even when you go into the letters of Aristeas and how we get the Septuagint, it's telling you it was written in Alexandria, Egypt. So if you're going to go with the biblical account, as far as it being proven and it being proof, you have to go with, proof that we have that Moses existed, proof that the Ark of the Covenant carried these tablets or these papyri that had writings of Moses or what have you, or the Pentateuch, Tanakh, Torah, whatever you want to call it, and that these tribes were basically protecting it and holding it, what have you. We don't have any proof of that. We don't have any proof of this stuff being what the Bible says it is or being written, right? What we do have proof of is a lot of things pertaining to Egypt. We find in the Bible as far as the 42 negative confessions being like the 10 Commandments, and all of the stories that we find that kind of mimic a lot of Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology, right? So we see this stuff. And you can now simply Google, and Google will tell you that, yeah, it's clear evidence, and a lot of scholars agree that the Bible was most likely taken from out of Egypt, right? So it says here, while the phrase stole from is conscientious, the Bible contains significant parallels to and likely drew from earlier Egyptian religious and cultural concepts, with some scholars arguing for direct influence on themes like the virgin birth of Jesus, the 10 Commandments from Ma'at's laws and wisdom, literature like Proverbs from the teachings of Amenemope, societal practices. But you also have to look at things like the virgin birth of Jesus, right? Likened to the virgin birth of Horus, right? So we've seen so many depictions of Horus and Jesus, what have you, the parallels. You've seen the statue of Isis holding Horus and the statue of, Mary and Jesus, what have you. So many parallels that we find in Egypt, which we know was before anything biblical that we have, especially the statues. We know these statues predate anything biblical. The reliefs predate anything biblical. And I've been in Egypt and I've shown you guys reliefs that they clearly copy from. So you see the biblical drawings versus the actual ancient reliefs. And we see where they get this stuff from, right? Jesus and the sheep and the staff, all the stuff we find in Kemet, hundreds of years before any of these depictions, thousands even, right? So you have to look at that. The circumcision, we find that in Egypt long before anything dealing with the Jews. So with so much stuff we find in Egypt pertaining to Egyptian mythology or Egyptian practices that clearly the Bible stole from. So people will say, well, they were enslaved in Egypt. So perhaps they picked up some of these things from Egypt during that time. The issue with that whole thing is there's no proof. So we can't prove that happened, and we can't prove that that's even a thing as far as them using these Egyptian, let's say, practices for their own practices, which is something they wouldn't do as Hebrews. None of the manuscripts was written in Israel and Jerusalem or what have you. They were written in Egypt, right? So this is the account that we get as far as any proof giving validity to the books being even as old as they are, begins in Egypt with, of course, Ptolemy II Philadelphia's, and the Septuagint. So this is the only thing that we have. So this is still happening in Egypt. There's nothing that we can find that pertains to it happening in Israel. In fact, the story itself has so many holes. And the biggest hole, of course, would be the Exodus story that has been debated so much, right? So even if you go to Israel, you have the Haaretz, which I talk about a lot. And the Haaretz, which is basically like the Jewish newspaper over in Israel, they have done many articles. They have done many reports basically saying the Exodus never happened. There's no proof of the Exodus happening. There was no Exodus. So this is one of the foundation stories of Judaism and Christianity. And you have the people in Israel, the main newspaper, basically saying, dude, it never happened. We were never enslaved in Egypt. There's absolutely no proof. Anywhere where the Israelites were believed to have traveled out of Egypt, there's no bodies. There's no artifacts. Anything pertaining to a group of people numbering in possibly 2 million leaving Egypt and going into Canaan, right? And the thing is, the number that it gives, what is that? Numbers 146 to 47, which is like 600,000. And that's just men. 600,000 men. not counting the women, which we would think is probably more or around the same amount, not including the kids, right? So possibly we're talking about 2 million people that travel out of Egypt into the land of Canaan. And it's already estimated that the Egyptian empire, let's just say the empire around that time, they believe, max 3 million people, max, right? So you mean to tell me that the Israelites traveling out of Egypt outnumbered the Egyptian people themselves, right? Which is why they put certain things in the story that, okay, the Egyptians was getting weary because the Jews were growing in numbers. And it was like, they're going to outnumber us. So we got to get rid of these people. So many things they put in there to try to justify these numbers or what have you, but it doesn't fit with actual history. So you have people like Bart Ehrman and other scholars who gets into this extensively. So it's a lot to look into when you're really getting into the whole Exodus story, because there's too many holes, right? And that's just one of them. The fact that, one, remember, if they fled, they're telling you they fled Egypt, right, to go to Israel or Canaan, right, the land of Canaan. That was still, as I've been telling you guys, it was still part of the Egyptian empire. So they fled Egypt and ended up in Egypt. So how is that? And we know there's no way in the world that the Pharaoh and the entire Egyptian army was wiped out. Because the thing is, when you go and look at this, there's no people, nobody around Egypt that understood the civilization, that talked about this civilization. None of these civilizations or any people prominent around that time mentions the Egyptian empire being destroyed. Because you would think if the entire Egyptian army was wiped out, if Ramses was wiped out, you would think that so many civilizations would have came in there and took it over. And we wouldn't hear about any of the dynasties after Ramses, right? And the Bible will tell you, King James Version is talking about Ramses II, right? You would think we would hear about this, but we have his successor. We have his kid. We have Merkabah, who successfully rules after Ramses, right? And we have his offspring and so on and so forth. We have Ramses' body. So how is it that Ramses was swallowed by the sea and that was the end of the Egyptian army when we have a successor? Now, I know people are going to say that the Bible doesn't specifically say that Ramses died, but if the Israelite army was wiped out, as it does say, you would think he was wiped out as well, right? Because the way those waves were super high in the air, crashing down on these people, you would think that would be the end of them. And the Bible doesn't speak of him again. You would think that such a prominent figure, right, in the story would be talked about more had he, survived, that, he would go and get his revenge on the people. We don't see any such story in the Bible, right? So we would assume when it's saying it was swallowed up, that means that these people were all basically wiped out and killed. So we have Merkabah, the Merkabah Stela, we have the Amarna letters or what have you. And this is another thing that we can look to, because with the Amarna letters, there is no mention of the Israelites, right? There's a people that they're talking about that everybody wants to point and say they're talking about the Israelites, but there's no proof of that. So like when we get into the Exodus story and just the validity of these people existing, as I always tell you guys, there's no proof of this, but you can clearly look in history and see where they're taking things from ancient Egyptian mythology, ancient Egyptian history, and trying to use the people who was around that day to make as if these people existed when there's absolutely no proof. The Amarna letters are written in Akkadian cuneiform, which is basically a language that they use when diplomats are basically corresponding. And those letters is basically saying how it's this group of people, it translates into like mercenaries, a group of people that's giving them trouble over there in Canaan, and they basically asking for help. So none of this is specifically saying Israel or Israelites or what have you, or Hebrews or Jews or what have you. There's nothing like this. And other people, again, would have written about these people doing exactly what they did, as far as, carrying the Ark of the Covenant, carrying the tabernacle, and everything that we see as far as the religious practices of these people. Nobody spoke of these people. There's absolutely no proof. You got to go and look at the history. Again, that's what's giving you the proof, right? Or the information. So when I'm reading all these debates and when I'm seeing the videos and people asking me questions, I see that people have a tendency to keep on going back to the Bible as if it's proven. The book is not proven. It is up for debate. Right? It is the book in question. So you can't use it as being proof to your story when it has never been proven, right? So people are going to say, well, the Bible says so. Well, the Bible says so. Well, who says the Bible is true? Nobody. It's a story. And this is what we're trying to get to the bottom of and prove the story's valid or not. And there's absolutely no proof. There's no archaeological evidence even of the Exodus story. And this is the one that people hang their hat on because it's the foundation story of the Jews, of Christianity, of everything. So if that's not true, what else is not true? And then common sense to tell you, dude, come on, talking snakes and donkeys, dudes with superpowers and everything like that. What do you think is going on here?